Childhood doesn't build men, it breaks them first. Childhood doesn't shape strong men, it shatters them, then silently watches to see who can rebuild without a blueprint. Let that sink in. Because here's a cold, unsettling truth. Studies show that boys raised in unstable homes are 4 times more likely to either repeat the chaos, or burn the whole script and vanish off the grid. Most people believe that a brutal childhood creates broken men, addicts, criminals, statistics. What they don't talk about is the other kind. The ones who don't collapse. The boys who sit alone in the ruins, piecing their identity back together without help, without guidance, and without mercy. They grow up colder, quieter, harder to read, harder to control. They don't become heroes. They don't become villains. They become ghosts, walking through society with sharp minds, dead eyes, and zero tolerance for the rules that were designed to tame weaker men. They become Sigma males. And here's the punchline nobody claps for. While everyone else is out chasing attention, applause, and approval, these men are building silent empires, brick by invisible brick. Because recognition was never the mission. Control was. Peace was. Freedom was. So today, we're stripping away the fairy tales. Forget the sugar-coated nonsense about pain making you stronger. This isn't about redemption arcs or feel-good triumphs. This is about how hard childhoods forge boys into lone wolves, the kind who don't ask for respect, because they command it without raising their voice. Buckle up. What you're about to hear won't be easy. But if you've lived it, it'll feel like truth. Sharp, uncomfortable, and deeply, strangely freeing. Number 1, they turn childhood wounds into weapons, not crutches. Most people wear their childhood pain like a badge, hoping someone notices, sympathizes, or hands them comfort. They say, "Look what I've been through," and use their suffering as an identity. But Sigma males operate differently. They don't broadcast their wounds. They weaponize them. Instead of seeking pity, they take their pain and turn it into strategy, something sharp, private, and powerfully effective. Their childhood didn't offer comfort, so they learned to make discomfort their fuel. They didn't sit around wondering why life hit them. They asked, "How do I use this?" That's the quiet difference most people never see. A Sigma male doesn't act tough to impress anyone. His strength was forged in the shadows, where no one was watching and no one applauded. The world told him he was nothing, and instead of folding, he became someone the world couldn't define. He doesn't wear his scars where you can touch them. He hides them deep, where no one can exploit them. But he never forgets they're there. Those scars are his reminders, his compass, and at times, his silent warning. While others spend years complaining about who broke them, Sigma males learn how to turn betrayal into pattern recognition, abandonment into self-reliance, and rejection into empires. Not because they need validation, but because they refuse to let pain be wasted. And here's what sets them apart most. Unless they tell you, you'd never guess what they've survived. They don't brag. They don't victimize themselves. They don't wait to be healed before they build. In their world, you heal while moving. You succeed while hurting. You carry pain like currency, and you make sure it pays rent. Suffering is never the reason to stop. It's the reason to start. Sigma males don't hide their wounds out of fear. They hide them because the world doesn't deserve access to the wars they've fought. And in that silence, there's power. Number 2, they make pain pay rent. Most people suffer and come out with nothing. They cry, break down, and complain. And when it's over, they're just more bitter and more exhausted, but not stronger. Sigma males don't play that game. If they're going to walk through hell, then hell better pay up. To them, pain is a transaction. If they're forced to suffer, there must be a return on investment. A lesson. An upgrade. An edge. Otherwise, what's the point? They don't view pain as a tragic chapter in their story. They treat it like raw material, something you mold, shape, and turn into something useful. When life betrayed them, they learned how trust really works. When they were abandoned, they mastered solitude. When they failed, they studied their own blueprint, reprogrammed their methods, and came back sharper than ever. They refused to let pain pass through them without paying rent. Every scar owes them something, and they collect. They extract wisdom from wounds, boundaries from heartbreak, and clarity from chaos. But don't mistake them for masochists. They're not grateful for the pain. They don't romanticize it or call it a blessing. They hate it, but they respect it. They don't wish for suffering to stop. They wish to become so unyielding that pain no longer owns them, even if it never leaves. That mindset is rare. While most people wait for the storm to pass so they can finally feel alive again, Sigma males study the storm, dissect its rhythm, and build a fortress in the rain. They don't sit around asking, "Why me?" They ask, "What's next?" They're not drowning. They're taking notes. And when the storm's done, they'll have turned every drop of it into the fuel for their next quiet victory. Sigma males don't suffer in silence because they're weak. They suffer in silence because they're strategic. Pain has a price, and they always make sure it pays. Number 3, they saw love as a transaction, not a gift. For most children, love is supposed to be simple and unconditional. You exist, you're loved. You make mistakes, you're still loved. But for Sigma males, love came with terms and conditions. It was rarely given freely. It had to be earned, through obedience, silence, emotional restraint. Affection became performance-based. Smile the right way, play by the rules, hide your feelings, and maybe you'd get some warmth. Show weakness, voice discomfort, or misstep, and love vanished as if it had never been real. This early emotional economy teaches one hard truth: love can be weaponized. And when that happens, it stops being love. Sigma males learned this fast. So, they stopped chasing love, not from bitterness, but from clarity. If affection could be used to control them, they refused to be controlled. Instead of begging for connection, they embraced solitude. Instead of craving attention, they found peace in their own presence. This wasn't loneliness, it was freedom from emotional blackmail. Most people spend their lives chasing a version of love that mimics their childhood, conditional, unstable, and confusing. Sigma males reject that blueprint. They don't let old wounds script their future. Instead, they build a life where solitude is sacred, not scary. And ironically, that detachment makes them magnetic. People sense their calm, their resistance to manipulation, their refusal to perform for validation. Why? Because they've already known life without love, and survived. They're no longer afraid of being alone. Love, to them, is a welcome addition, not a necessity. And if it arrives, it must be real, unconditional, clear, and free of control. If it doesn't, they're not chasing it. They'd rather guard their peace than gamble it on a transaction disguised as affection. Sigma males learned young what many never realize: love that comes with strings isn't love at all. And once you stop depending on it, you become impossible to manipulate. Number 4, they learned early that safety is an illusion. For most children, safety is assumed: a stable home, protective parents, predictable routines. They grow up believing the world is designed to keep them safe. Sigma males never had that luxury. From a young age, they discovered that safety is often temporary, and at worst, entirely fake. The very people who were supposed to shield them were unreliable. The homes that should have been sanctuaries felt more like battlegrounds. While most boys found comfort zones, Sigma males found survival zones. Rather than waiting for protection, they learned to become their own fortress. When the outside world felt like fire, they built clarity and control inside their minds. Their thoughts became shelter. Their choices, armor. And their silence became the only room where chaos couldn't reach. This wasn't poetic resilience, it was raw survival instinct. If your own home could erupt without warning, you stop trusting walls and start trusting intuition. If betrayal comes from those closest to you, you stop handing them the keys to your heart. Sigma males understood that if they didn't develop inner stability, the world would crush them. Even as adults, they carry that awareness. Jobs collapse. Relationships fade. Society's promises break when tested. But instead of living in fear, Sigma males adapt. They expect instability and prepare accordingly. What people see on the surface, a calm, composed, detached man, is the result of years of building a mindset that chaos can't touch. He doesn't need a safe environment to feel secure. He brings his safety with him. While others need vacations, therapy, or constant reassurance to feel okay, Sigma males just need a quiet mind. The world taught them early: safety is a myth. But stability? That's something you build, and build within, where no one else can touch it. Number 5, they gave up on being rescued. As children, most people hold on to a hope: maybe someone will notice. A teacher will step in. A relative will care enough. A miracle will happen. Sigma males didn't get that miracle. No hero showed up. No helping hand reached out. Just long, quiet nights realizing no one was coming. So, they did the only thing they could: they saved themselves. And that decision changes you. While others still wait for someone to fix their lives, Sigma males become the person who fixes it. They stopped watching the door and started building one of their own. They don't believe in fairy tales or dramatic turning points. They trust quiet effort, clear thinking, and relentless self-direction. Hope has its place, but it doesn't put food on the table or hold you together when things fall apart. So, they stopped waiting. They acted. Consistently, silently, effectively. And here's the part most people miss: Sigma males aren't bitter. They don't resent others for not rescuing them. They've just outgrown the idea that anyone ever would. If help comes, they'll accept it. If not, they move forward all the same. This mindset makes them emotionally untouchable. Rejection doesn't shake them, because they never expected acceptance. Abandonment doesn't ruin them, because they built a life no one else could take away. They're not searching for heroes. They became one. For themselves. And perhaps the most haunting truth of all, no one will ever fully understand the battles they fought silently. The nights they held their fears alone. The burdens they carried with no applause. And that's okay. Sigma males didn't do it for attention. They did it to reclaim the only thing that truly mattered, their mind. Number 6, they were forced to make adult choices before they were ready. Most kids are allowed to be just that, kids. They make mistakes, play without consequences, and lean on adults to clean up the mess. But Sigma males didn't have that privilege. While other boys were preoccupied with school crushes or video games, Sigma males were navigating survival. It wasn't about what game to play, it was about whether there'd be dinner. Whether they could prevent a violent outburst at home or shield a younger sibling from trauma. They were handed adult responsibilities while their minds were still under construction. Their brains weren't ready, but life didn't care. So, they made the decisions anyway, sometimes wise, sometimes flawed. Each choice etched survival instincts into their thinking, and in the process, stripped away what little childhood they had left. This is why Sigma males see the world differently. Their education wasn't in textbooks, it was in crisis management. By the time most people are wandering through their 20s looking for purpose, the Sigma already has blueprints in his mind, for risk, betrayal, and emotional endurance. They learned to move through life like a chess match because they were moving pieces when they should have been learning the rules. But that kind of premature growth leaves a mark. They didn't grow up believing life was fair, or that adults had the answers. They never got to feel small or be carried by someone stronger. Instead, they carried others. And that weight made them strong, but also isolated. Not sad, just aware, there was no safety net for them. Only strategy. Only self-reliance. They're calm under pressure? It's not talent. It's muscle memory. They're built for responsibility because responsibility built them. But under that calm, there's a quiet ache, the loss of a childhood that never happened. They traded innocence for independence. And once you've made that exchange, there's no going back. Number 7, they became addicted to clarity because chaos was their normal. When you grow up in chaos, your nervous system doesn't crave adventure, it craves stability like oxygen. For Sigma males, childhood wasn't a place of comfort. It was a minefield, unpredictable, unstable, and emotionally dangerous. One moment felt safe. The next, the ground gave out. People changed moods like masks. Rules shifted overnight. Promises were broken before they were even finished. That kind of environment either breaks you or hardwires your brain to chase clarity with everything you've got. Sigma males chose clarity. Not because they're controlling, but because they know what uncertainty costs. They know how much damage comes from not knowing if someone's love is real or if today will be war. They remember what it felt like to be a child in the middle of confusion, so now they create order like their life depends on it. Because once, it did. They crave clear goals, because drifting reminds them of a past where nothing made sense. They need clear relationships, because mixed signals feel like manipulation. They demand clear intentions, because they've been burned by too many smiles that hid knives. Even their exit plans are mapped, because safety still feels temporary. This obsession with clarity isn't about micromanaging. It's about peace. It's about creating a life where they're not constantly bracing for the next emotional ambush. And the moment things start getting foggy, when people send mixed signals or situations feel unstable, they pull away. Fast. They don't wait for the chaos to clear. They remove themselves from it. If a connection feels confusing, they detach. If a mission lacks focus, they redefine it. If their environment turns noisy, they cut out the distractions. Most people tolerate confusion, hoping it will resolve. Sigma males eliminate it, because they've lived inside the storm, and they refuse to go back. For them, clarity isn't a preference. It's survival. It's the quiet in a world that once taught them the next explosion could happen at any second. So while others accept the fog, Sigma males walk in direction, sharp, focused, and unshakably clear. Number 8, they built invisible fortresses around their mind. Most people wear their emotions like open wounds, hoping someone sees their pain and offers comfort. They talk about their struggles, post their heartbreak online, and treat vulnerability like a badge of honor. But Sigma males took a different route. They learned early that vulnerability isn't always safe. Expose your wounds to the wrong person, and they'll weaponize them. So, instead of showcasing their pain, they guard it. But don't confuse that silence with emotional weakness. Sigma males don't hide from pain, they contain it. They didn't build walls to escape their feelings. They built boundaries to protect their inner world. Their mind became a fortress, with one entrance, and they alone hold the key. While most people hand out backstage passes to their emotions, Sigma males are deliberate. They decide who even gets close to the gate. And the truth? Most people never get in. Inside that fortress, they feel deeply, sometimes more deeply than anyone else. But you won't see the tears. You won't witness the breakdown. They process everything in private, far from the noise and judgment of the outside world. By the time the world notices something is wrong, they've already rebuilt from the rubble. They're not cold. They're composed. And their silence isn't detachment, it's strategy. Sigma males know that if people can read your emotions, they can manipulate you. If someone knows what rattles you, they can control you. So they don't hand over that power. They guard their mind like a stronghold. Not because they're emotionally unavailable, but because emotional access is earned, not assumed. In a world obsessed with oversharing, Sigma males hold tight to the rarest currency. Emotional control without external validation. They still feel. They still hurt. They still grow. But they do it behind walls no one's allowed to climb. And that's why, when the world collapses around them, they remain unshaken. Number 9, they grew up watching hypocrisy win. Sigma males never bought into the fairy tale that the good guys always win. They saw something else growing up. They watched liars get promoted. Bullies get followers. Hypocrites get praised. They listened to adults talk about integrity, then break every rule they claimed to value. So they stopped trusting the system. But instead of getting bitter, they got strategic. They learned how to wear masks without becoming the mask. Smile when necessary. Blend in when useful. Nod along with shallow conversations, not because they care, but because survival sometimes means staying quiet until it's safe to move differently. They mastered the art of adapting outwardly while staying rooted inwardly. Their values never bend with the room they're in. They know how to play the game, but they never confuse the game for real life. Because they've seen what others miss, performance often gets rewarded more than truth. And when the mask is no longer needed, they remove it. Effortlessly. Because it was never their identity, it was just armor. While others become what they pretend to be, Sigma males remain grounded in who they truly are. Number 10, they stopped expecting to be understood. Most people go through life longing to be understood, deeply, fully, without judgment. They dream of finding someone who just gets them. Sigma males gave up on that hope early. Not because they're bitter, but because experience taught them better. Too many times they tried to open up, only to be dismissed, misread, or, worse, have their vulnerability used against them. Eventually, they stopped explaining. They realized that full understanding is rare, often shallow, and usually self-serving. People don't want to understand you to connect, they want to understand you to feel comfortable. Sigma males walked away from that. They embraced mystery over explanation. Because when people don't fully understand you, they can't predict you, can't control you, can't strike you where it hurts. Being misunderstood became a shield, a boundary that protected their freedom and clarity. While most people dread being misread, Sigma males learn to thrive in it. Even in relationships, they stopped expecting to be fully seen. If someone respects the parts they never reveal, that's a bonus, not a requirement. And if no one ever does? They're still good. They're not chasing the spotlight. They're walking their own path, free from the need to be understood, and safer because of it. Number 11, they learn to protect their dreams in silence. Most kids light up when they share a dream. Not Sigma males. They learned early that dreams shared too freely get mocked, ignored, or crushed. So they stopped talking and started building. Quietly. Patiently. Without applause. They realized most people don't want you to succeed, they want you to stay small. So they stopped looking for support and built in silence. No hype. No announcements. Just relentless progress behind closed doors. Now, when success finally shows, people call it overnight. They didn't see the isolation, the obsession, the preparation. Sigma males never needed validation, they needed freedom. And now that they've earned it, they still don't ask for praise. Because they never built their life to be admired. They built it to be untouchable. Number 12, they became their own emotional parent. When life got scary, most kids had someone to run to. A parent, a teacher, a friend. Someone to say, it's okay. You're safe. Sigma males didn't have that. When chaos hit, they had no one to calm them, so they learned to calm themselves. They became both the frightened child and the adult trying to help that child survive. Their mind split into two roles, one overwhelmed, the other saying, breathe. Focus. What's the next move? That self-parenting rewired them. It taught them emotional control the hard way. Now, as men, they don't break down under pressure. They shift into strategy mode. Not because they don't feel, but because they've trained themselves to carry emotion without drowning in it. Most people mistake this for coldness. But it's survival. And that inner child? He still whispers sometimes. But the Sigma listens, calms him, then moves forward, without showing the storm on his face. Because he's learned to weather everything from within. Final thought. So when people ask why Sigma males move differently, why they're distant, private, unshaken, it's because they had to be. Life didn't give them comfort. It gave them reality. And instead of folding, they formed a mind no one else could conquer. If this message struck a chord with you, if it helped you see your own path more clearly, don't just scroll on. Like the video. Comment your truth. Share it with someone who needs to wake up. Because someone out there is still waiting to be rescued, and maybe this is the message that finally sets them free. Stay sharp. Stay quiet. Stay powerful. And I'll see you in the next one.